Hi Flosstube! Welcome to my channel. I'm Jessie and this is Bobo Jessie Stitches. This is a channel primarily about cross stitching and welcome in. Whether you're new or returning, pull up a cup of tea. I got my procrastinate tea today and let's get going. Let's talk about how things have been. But I do want to show off something first. I did receive a Christmas gift of this fun sweatshirt, Flosstube Tea and Stitching, yes, off of Etsy, and so I live in Houston, so it's not normally, we have winters. I don't want to make it sound like it's always hot, but today is a day I can film and wear my sweatshirt. So I hope everyone's doing well. How was your January? I know for a lot of people, January is a very long month. Because people are doing various types of goals, dry Januaries or things along that lines. My January is usually pretty tough because I work at a nonprofit that's federally funded, not only federally funded, but receives federal dollars. And when you get money from the federal government, there's usually terms and conditions related to it. And so we are required to do what is basically compliance review, making sure that we're in compliance with the regulations that govern our work and that we are spending public money the way we are supposed to be spending public money. And so we do a lot of reviews of things. It is a very busy time for me, and I won't talk too much about it, but let's put it this way. My organization allows us, those of us who are exempt, to bank up to 50 hours of comp time. So that's any hour that we work above the 40-hour work week. We get to bank that and use that at a later time, take that time off in a different way. And we can bank up to 50 hours. I have surpassed that in January. So, but that's okay. We're almost done. I will do a little bit of work this weekend, but I should be nipping that in the bud. For the big stuff, there's still some additional work that gets done in February, but nothing compared to January. Now in February, it's the check marks. Anyway, so that's my long way of saying that not a whole lot of stitching, honestly, in January. But I did want to acknowledge that I want to thank Amy. I had given her a shout out in one of my Flossmas videos of being one of the channels that inspire me, which is the Globetrotting Stitcher, and she gave me a very sweet shout out on her own channel, and we don't need to go back and forth on the thank yous and things like that. But I know a lot of you who are new subscribers to me are here thanks to Amy, and I appreciate the choice to subscribe. I very much appreciate you being here, and thank you to Amy for that nice, sweet shout out. So, but fortunately, the first video you're probably going to see is kind of boring because I didn't do that much. But in January, I did put in 4,475 stitches over the course of 20 days. That may seem like I stitched a lot of days, but in a lot of those days, sometimes it was I only had an hour and I put in maybe 20, 50 stitches into a project, and that was it. So not a whole lot of stitching. But I did work on 5 total projects. That included 2 new starts. One of those new starts is a finish for now, and so I ended up touching in total 4 of my whips. So that's kind of basically what I did. And so let's get going. I also want to thank everybody who commented on my last video asking about whether or not you wanted things to be edited and things along that lines. And it seems like the vast majority of those of you who commented were okay with me not editing. So I'm not going to put in before pictures, and I'm not going to put in the names. Everything that I stitch on will always be in the show notes on wherever they are, on your computer or on your phone. And so know that they're always going to be available. You can always find them, all the details of everything that I work. But I'm just not going to pop them up on the screen. I'm not going to do before pictures popping up on the screen. But that being said, if you are a person who really likes to see the progress that I make over the course of a month on a project, I always will continue to put the before pictures with the after pictures on my Instagram, which is at Boba_Jessie C. And that information is also down in the show notes if you did not hear that, but it's it'd be at the end credit as well. So if you are interested in seeing that type of progress from month over month, go check it out on my Instagram and follow me there. Okay. All right. So first up is my travel stitching, which is Dr. Georgina Wyndham. This is by Forbidden Fiber Co. This is part of that steampunk sheep series that she did last year. I take it with me when I travel and stitch on it, because it's easy block color stitching. And so here is where Georgina is right now. And you'll see why it's very easy to do block stitching on this. I worked on this for 1 day and I put in 220 stitches. I don't think that's actually accurate. I'm pretty sure I worked on this for 2 days and put in like 400 something stitches in it. But when I did my count, it wasn't right. That's what it pulled up according to my Notion. So let's go with that. So it could be that it's going to look like it's more than that. But basically, I've been continuing filling in her fleece over on the side. And yeah, so as you can see, very easy travel stitching. Okay. All right. Next up is, oh, I forgot to say, everything is called for Forbidden Fiber Co. 2/2 with Forbidden Fiber Co. floss on 32 count linen, and this is Love Potion, also by Forbidden Fiber Co. All right, now next up is Castle Homecoming. This is the year-long salve from Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I am behind, so this is the final piece, y'all. The final piece got released this week, and so very excited about that. Oh, I just realized I'm completely out of. I'm going in an order, but I have stacks out of order. So this is where we are. Now, last time that I saw this and had been working on it, I had not been getting all the pieces as I go. So I had been debating on whether or not I wanted to convert the wizard to look like my dad. So I am converting the folks. I have converted the knightess, or I'm converting the knightess to look like me because, well, I'm the hero of my own story, right? I made the heraldrel to look like my best friend, who is 100% super supportive of me, and this is basically her. Like, she's, anytime I do something, she is very supportive of me. And then I've converted the knight here to look like my husband, and that's all the conversions I've done. But I had been debating on whether or not I wanted to change the wizard to look like my dad, because I had seen the queen here, which I will convert to look like my mom. And so now I have the full piece, and then I realized, hey, yo, there's King up here. Do you think they intended it to look like Elvis? Am I the only one who thinks that looks like Elvis? I'm pretty sure it's meant to look like Elvis. Did I miss something that they said it was meant to look like Elvis? Because I'm pretty sure. So anyways, but here's King up here. So I'm thinking about converting the King to look like my dad, with the queen. So, which means I don't know what I'm going to do about the wizard, because every person is being converted to look like someone in my life. But I don't have. I'm just gonna say it. I don't have another man in my life that I think would fit in that kind of a mold. So he's just gonna be a wizard. I'm gonna stitch him as called for. He's just gonna be my Merlin, my imaginary Merlin hanging about. Anyways, that's all to say. I worked on Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery's Castle Homecoming. I worked on it for 2 days, and I put in 628 stitches, and basically I have been moving towards the side. So I've been going this way is kind of where I've been going. So I kind of finished all of the things underneath the bridge. I put in the little, what are those things called? They're like cat something? The little weed, not weed. They're not weeds. Those things. I put in those, and then I stitched a little troll guy who's really cute, and who's fishing and everything. So basically I was just going across the edge there. Who knows if I'll ever catch up, because I won't, because the final piece came out this month, and I'm obviously not going to finish this in February. But I do love it, and I have a lot of fun stitching on it. So I'm doing this 2/2 with the called for DMC on 32 count Lugana, and this is Papyrus, I think. You thought I was ready, and I'm not. But I think it is by Color and Cotton, and it's Papyrus. But you know what? As I said at the beginning, everything will be down in the show notes below. I love this. I'm really sad that I'm so behind on it. But you know what? Life is progress. Right? Isn't that what life is? All right, so that's Frosted Pumpkin. And then next up, I have this is one of my oldest whips, and this is one of my 2024 goals, is to finish this project. I can pull it out, which is the Lunar Princess Sal by Sleeping Luna Designs. I started this in 2021. I had wanted to finish it in 23. I did not, so it is now a goal, and I have finished Fever for it. And as you will see, because I did work on this for 15 days, and I put in 2,428 stitches into it. And this is where it is right now. Basically, you'll see that I continued on in the moon. I'm almost done with the moon. I mean, look how far along that is. Don't be deceived. It's still like something like 300 stitches left in that moon. But so I moved to finish the moon. I put in Uranus's signet and then Mars at the very top. And so all that's left is Sailor Saturn's signet and the rest of the rings, one bunny and one heart, and the rest of the moon. I am very confident I can finish this in February. So look for a finish in February. All of this is 32 count. All of this is called for DMC 2/2 on 32 count linen phantom by Picture This Plus. This is a beautiful fabric. Very difficult to stitch on. I'm not going to lie. It is difficult to stitch on dark fabrics in general. I find this to be difficult to stitch on. It's just lots of really good lighting. I have so much lighting everywhere. I have lighting from above. I usually keep a light color blanket under me. I don't have a sheet of paper or anything. I just basically, flip over my blanket where the white side is under, so I have a white underneath me, and then the light coming from the top. And I do, partly more so than a lot of other things, I keep a very tight tension on this. Picture This Bless is very soft. It's very amiable. So keeping a tight on a Q-snap does help me see where the holes line up. It makes it a little easier to see. I don't think, sometimes people worry about warping their fabric and things like that. I don't keep tightening it, so I try really hard. I mean, it does look a little warpish, but when I do spray it down and I water it, it does take its shape back. So I think as long as you don't keep it in the Q-snap at that tightness all the time, and I do take it out when I'm not stitching on it, I think that the fabric will heal thyself, So, but for me, having that tension when I'm working on it does help with being able to see where everything is in terms of, those are my tips. That's what works for me when it comes to stitching on a dark fabric. But otherwise, honestly, like, I actually use my needle to count over from stitching. So if I'm lucky enough to have some stitching already in place, I'm basically just moving my needle and just counting the holes over. And that's how I ensure that I stay 2/2. This one I'm really worried about meeting at the end. Like, honestly, I'm really worried that it's not going to meet, but I will fudge it for sure, because I'm not obviously going to try to correct it if it's not going to be lining up. So, but look for a finish for that one next month. So that is one of my few plans. Then if you follow me on Instagram, you would know, tea break, that it was my birthday. My birthday's on January 30th. I turned 47. Everyone eventually experiences this. And I know for all of my friends and out there in the world who are over the age of 30, you have already experienced this, right? Which is that in my brain, I'm usually somewhere between the age of 27 and 33. Like, some days I'm the older 20 dumb, and some days I'm the younger 30 dumb. But but in my head, that's how old I think. And it's just really kind of funny to think that I'm physically 47 years old. My brother is turning 50 next week. And so that's also really like bizarro to think about, my brother turning 50 years old. But it's so, like, I have a hard time like thinking about that. So, but as I mentioned in my last video, but just to repeat it, for those of you who did not watch it, I am a dragon baby. So Lunar New Year is typically sometime in February. Sometimes it's early in January, late in January, but most of the time it's in the first couple of weeks of of February, and I am born in the year of the dragon, and we are celebrating the lunar new year on February 10th, and that is the year of the dragon. It's the year of the wood dragon. I am a fire dragon. Those of you who are born basically in February ishes to through February issues of 77 through 78, you are a fire dragon, and this is a wood dragon and year. And so, but just kind of a silly story. Like my mom was like, she is going to be born in the year of the dragon. And I was going to be born on a Sunday. So my parents paid extra money to have a C-section for me to be born in the year of the dragon on January 30th on a Sunday. And so it's, and she thinks that I've been a lucky baby ever since. I guess she has to think that for her children. But so I'm very excited about that. But I really wanted to have a start. And I don't remember what I mentioned, but I thought about starting a dragon on my birthday. And I didn't do that. Now it's just good time as it is to mention it. I was looking, and I thank you for the suggestions that I did get. I haven't looked at all of the suggestions that I got yet. So I haven't found one that I really wanted to start. Like, just being honest, I really wanted to start an Eastern dragon. And so I'm going to talk about that in a second. So I didn't find a dragon to start, but then I've been watching quite a few Flosstubers, lots of different Flosstubers. Amy was one of them. In fact, one of her last ones was one of them. It's like, who else was I watching that just had like really beautiful stitching in it? Mouse Potato Designs? Is that right? Is that her? She also has really beautiful pieces that she was. So, anyways, I had watched like a whole series of like people who just stitch these, just I don't even like. They're just so like, who creates this artwork? It's just so beautiful, right? And so I just wanted to stitch something beautiful, like. I do a lot of Halloween stitching. I do lots of cutesy stitching and a lot of, geeky kind of stitching. I just wanted something pretty, but still within the style of me, right? And so I don't speak German. Please, please forgive me. Please, please, please. Treffen der Waldtiere. This is by UB Designs. This is a German company, at least I assume so, because the website is DE, which is German. And so, and the Google translation is meeting the woodland animals. And then someone corrected me. Thank you for correcting me. And it was based, and it would be more accurate to translate it as meeting of the woodland animals. Look how beautiful this piece is. I just love the idea. One, it's just kind of. The reason why I feel like it reflects me is because the animals are all wearing sweaters, right? And I put my dogs in sweaters. So they're all wearing sweaters. And I like the idea that they're just having a work meeting in the forest, just being like, so how's your nut gathering happening, And, and so I just love the idea of that. But I also feel like it's just this is such a beautiful, beautiful piece. And I just really wanted something pretty. Like, that's just really what I wanted. And so this is what I started. Now, as I mentioned, I've been in a crunch, so I didn't do very much. This is all I got in. I am planning on doing this 2/2 on a 32 count linen. This is Frozen by Forbidden Fiber Co. Now, as you can see, this very bottom part is blendy. So that's a gray kind of thread on a gray toned fabric. Now this is 2 strands, maybe 3 strands of thread. So I haven't gone very far that if I decide I want to start doing some conversions, I will. But for right now, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to start stitching around at some of the other colors to see if when I put in the other colors, it'll help draw out that color if I need it to draw out. The reason why I am feeling like I don't need to draw out that gray for myself is that when you actually look at the design, which is on a white fabric, it is blendy. Like there's an aspect of it that's blendy, right? Like here, down here, you can see that there's like these snow motifs. Like that is a very, very pale color there. And it's hard, right? So there is an aspect of blendiness. Now, I don't know if they intended the little bottom parts to be blendy. But I think I'm okay. So I'm going to kind of see how it goes, right? So I'm going to stitch around it. I'm going to go ahead and stitch basically, I'm going to go ahead and start putting together that border. And if that border helps kind of take away that blending of that gray, then I'm going to be good. But if it does, then I'll probably convert to I can convert to a slightly darker tone of the gray, just so that way it doesn't quite blend in too much. But that's kind of my plan. So, but I'm really very happy. The only thing I was worried about when I saw that the gray was kind of blending was whether or not the deer, which has a lot of grays in it, would also get a little blendy. That is not. That I actually pulled out the colors, and I did floss toss on that. There's going to be plenty of contrast there, so I don't have to worry about that aspect of that. So that's my new start. Oh goodness. And just in case if you're wondering what that was one day of 67 stitches on my birthday. I told myself I was not going to work on my birthday night. So we had gone out to sushi and everything. So, all right. Last but not least is my new start and a finish for now, which is that I am doing these 20 stitches, Stitch for Pride. And so I finished the first piece, which is inspired by the artwork of Keith Haring. And there you go. I was not fortunate enough to get the called for floss, so I'm going to be doing conversions as I go. This one is on Silent Night, which I received in the countdown box from the Night Stalkers calling box. So it's their floss, and there it is. And I'm doing this on the called for fabric, which is 32 count linen, Determination by Mislaid Pages. This was 4 days worth of work, and I put in 912 stitches into it because that's how many stitches it is. I'm not going to tell you, y'all, this little dog right here, this part of the dog, I stitched that part of his mouth 4 times. I do not know what was going on with my brain that day that I could not get the quarter stitches to line up. I could not get, I was like, why can't I get this to line up? 4 times. Like, it's embarrassing to tell you, like, how hard it was to stitch it. But I'm sharing it with you, just in case anyone else also had to stitch it 4 times. And we're like, what's wrong with me? I don't know what it was. Like I don't know. Lunar Princess Hell has got tons and tons of quarter stitches. I'm not like, I know how to stitch a quarter stitch. But this one really was very, very difficult. So now I did not start this the way Dee said to start it. To be able to do this as a spot sampler. I just basically started in that. Because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it as a spot sampler. Because all of this is going to be based on the artwork of artists, I really love the idea of being able to frame each piece or finish each piece has its own artwork and has its own piece of artwork. And so that's what I'm going to do. So I don't know. I don't believe that this is enough fabric to be able to do that. And I can't decide if I should go ahead and order more fabric now if Jessie does have some in stock. So that way they all kind of coincide and mesh together. Or wait to see as the year goes on, can I fit all of the different motifs without knowing all the sizes and everything. I can't measure. I can't kind of guess. So I'm going to just kind of I know how big the next piece is. I'm going to measure it out to the side and then hope that there's enough here. And I guess maybe just kind of go from there. Like if there's not enough for the third one, then go down and then hopefully one of them will fit. Like I think that's just kind of the best way to kind of move forward. I think if I'm finishing it myself, I can get away with this kind of a smaller margin. So instead of doing probably what a lot of people do, which is about 3 inches between, I think I can probably get away with 2 inches. I think I can finish something with just 1 inch of fabric on each side of the design. So, but I won't be finishing anything until everything's done. So, but that's kind of my plan, which I guess is a good segue into plans. That's all my stitching. That's all the stitching I did for January. Um, Progress is progress, and I haven't finished for now, so nothing to sneeze at there, right? So going into plans, I am planning on stitching the next piece for Stitch for Pride, which is based on Kehinde Wiley. And unfortunately, the it's closed. The Stitch Along is closed. But hopefully for those of you who were interested and are not able to join, I do know that I did see that Dee posted that they will be selling the individual patterns in 2025. But stitch along with us, live vicariously through us that we're doing that, and you can do the learning. You don't. Dee has done a lot of labor for us, and we thank them for it. And we let's acknowledge the labor that has been done for us that makes it easy for us to learn it. But you know what? I bet you can Google just as good as I can. And so, so if you're not participating in the stitching, at least stitch vicariously through us and go do some learning and go check out Kehinde Wiley's work in February. And if that name sounds familiar to you, it probably you probably may recognize it because he is the portrait artist for the Obamas when they had their official portraits painted. He's the person who did that. So I'm excited about that. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to pick yet. This floss, the colored floor floss, is mostly greens with some blue tones to it. I thought about using Christmas Tree from Night Stalker's Calling, but it does have some blues in it, but not quite the blues I'm looking for. So I'm going to shop in my stash and see what I can find. But that is plan number 1, is I'm going to work on that. Plan number 2, finish Lunar Princess Sal. That's going to be plan number 2, or continue to work on that. And then I am hoping to have a lunar New Year start of a dragon. So let's go back to that. I'll circle back to that. And so one of the things, this is gonna sound strange. Y'all come along with me, okay? So for those of you who do not know, I am mixed race. I identify as mixed race. My family dynamics are racially, I am half Caucasian and half Asian. Nationally, I am half American. Well, I'm an American. I was born an American citizen, but in terms of where my parents came from, my dad is an American Texan, and my mom is from Thailand. And so that is nationally my heritage. And so we lived in Asia. Singapore has been getting a weird highlight lately, but I was born in Singapore, and we lived in Asia, and we moved here when I was 7. And for my dad, it was moving home. For my mom, it was an immigration. For me, it was an immigration. I identify more with being a young immigrant than I do with being a American, born American. I hope that makes sense. Because of the nature of the fact that I am Asian, we grew up with a lot of Asian culture. And in our household, my dad lived most of his life overseas. He lived most of his life in Asia. He was an army brat where his dad was stationed in Japan. And so there was a lot of years there. And then my dad served in Vietnam. And after doing his tours, he moved back to Asia. So so he lived most of his adult life in Asia as well. So for us, it felt like an immigration. Even my dad would say that even though he was returning home, because he had been in Asia for like 20 years, he felt like it was an immigration, that the country he returned home to was not the country he left. And so we identify a lot with the immigrant experience. And so, but I am very Americanized. I'm a very Americanized person. And, but in my household, there was some aspects of growing up, with some of, with quite a bit of Thai, culture, right? Like in the way that, we ate Thai food, we're Buddhists, so it was, so I don't want to make it sound like so that there was nothing Thai in our family, but I am an Americanized person. I live in America and I am an American, which meant that I don't have a lot of knowledge of Thai culture. For those, I don't want to speak for all Asian immigrants that came over in the 80s, because everyone had their own stories and their own experience. But my mom was like, you're an American, you need to be an American. Let's focus on you being an American. And so so there was this, so I don't know much about Thai culture and history, the way that you do when you grow up in a nation. So while I know about Thai customs and Thai food and behaviors and things along that lines, like but the way that you have kind of this osmosis that kind of happens um, with growing up in a nation. So pause for a minute. I might be having some technical difficulties. Okay, I'm hoping that all of that got captured, where I was talking about not growing up with knowing that osmosis history that you get from being Italian. All that to say, that's a very long introduction to what I'm about to say. I, at 47 years old, have decided to reclaim some of that knowledge. And I hope that doesn't sound strange when I just basically said, I mean, again, this is my experience. This is what I grew up with. Some of that is mixed culture. I know other people who are mixed culture, that some of that was mixed culture behavior. But I was like, I really want to know more about Thai culture and history and what exists there, like more so than what I have now. Like, and so with that, I am going to be trying is the operative word, to chart a Thai dragon. Dragons in Thailand are different. They're not the same as Chinese dragons. They are more of a serpentine kind of a dragon, have a different myth to it. I'll talk more about that if I'm actually able to successfully chart everything. So, but right now is just a verbal clue that I have found some stock footage I purchased the license for, and I'm trying to chart it. And all being well, I'm going to start it on February 10th. So follow me on Instagram to see my start and see my design. And but definitely come back next month and I will show you what I have done so far. But that's going to kind of be my thought. If it fails completely, I'll pick something else. But that's what I'm trying to do. So, but those are my plans. That's it. That's my Flosstube for today. I'm going to talk a little bit about some life stuff. But if you're here for just the stitching, that's it. I'll see you next month. But otherwise, for those of you who are staying, thanks for staying. Continuing on my history, discovering more about myself. So, okay. I don't know how to cook Thai food. So, I decided I want to learn how to do some Thai food. Make some food. So I've started following some people, trying to get a sense. For my birthday, my husband got me a wok. I have a baby wok, but I don't have a big enough wok to make, I can make small stir fries for myself, but it was like, let's get a proper wok that I can make more than one meal in it, and like a one meal in it. And so I got a new wok, and I was like, I'm going to learn how to make some Thai food. So one of the things is that I don't like cilantro. Cilantro tastes, I have that soapy thing. Well, there's a lot of cilantro in Thai food. And so I was like, how to kind of, trying to make things that fit my palate. I also don't like spicy food. That's the Caucasian half in me, I guess. But I'm teasing y'all. I know that people like spicy food. I don't like spicy food. And so how do I can make some things to my palate? There's going to be things I'll never be able to make because some Thai food is just kill your tongue kind of thing. But it's, so I was like, I'm going to learn to do that. And so I kind of started looking at things. Y'all, there's not very many famous mixed race Thai people. There's Tiger Woods, who is not a cook, right? But then there's Chrissy Teigen, right? So Chrissy Teigen, she is half Thai, and I can't remember her. I think her father was Swedish, but Chrissy Teigen is half Thai, and she's built this lifestyle brand, and her mom is a cook, and so there's a lot of cooks, and so here's her mom talking about all this Thai food and things like that she cooks. And then I found another a mixed Thai person, who is Australian. She's a Thai Australian, half Thai, half Australian, and she is a chef. So she's actually a chef. And in Australia, her name is Marion Gatsby. You might have seen her. Her videos tend to go a little bit viral. But she's over in Australia, and her mom also is part of her kind of visual and things like that, making all this amazing Thai stuff like that. It's like, these are my family recipes. That was not my family. That is not my mom. Do not believe that Thai moms out there are making like amazing food for people. That was not my mom. But here's the true story. When my parents were dating, my dad thought, I am marrying the best thing ever. I'm marrying this Thai woman who is going to make me amazing Thai food. And he comes and because every time he would go to her house, she'd come out with these plates of food, just beaming with pride. Like, look at this amazing dish that I'm bringing you. And then they got married, and then he realized that my mom hates to cook. And in actuality, all of those meals that my dad was experiencing when he was visiting her at her family's house were made by her grandmother. My mom does not cook. Now she does, but she doesn't. Like, she hates cooking. And so my dad lived on basically ramen noodles and rice for the longest time. And my mom would just be like, why do you need me to cook? We like just go buy something off the street, at the street cart. And when I was growing up, my mom would make some like Thai food and like at home. Like, there was things, again, like, because we went to temple and you would bring food for the monks and stuff like that. Like, she would make stuff, and she would make sure that she made food that my brother and I could eat. And so I remember her cooking food, but not like a lot, right? And then when we moved within Houston from a less Asian area to basically one of the Asian Mecca parts of Houston, where there was a large Asian population, where there was just Asian restaurants, supermarkets, everything everywhere. And that's when my mom was like, why on earth would we make it when you can just go buy it for so much less expense and so much less time? So anyways, I'm making Thai food. That's basically what I'm saying. And I have no innate knowledge because my mom stopped cooking when I was 13 years old. That was a roundabout story. I'm going to let you know how things go. I did make sticky rice. And I remember that being not an easy, it's actually not hard, but you have to soak the rice overnight, and then you have to steam it, right? And pay attention enough to the steaming, I guess. I don't know. But I did find a way to make sticky rice in a rice cooker. That's how I found Miriam. So FYI, sticky rice in a stick cooker. You still need to soak it overnight, but you can do it. Anyways, that's my story for the day. Oh, goodness. I don't have a joke. Pause. Let me go get a joke. Sorry, y'all. I couldn't find any. Like, I looked because I was like, well, today is February 2nd. Yesterday was Groundhog Day. But I couldn't find anything. Does anyone know of a good Groundhog Day's joke? Because I keep seeing the same one over and over again. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time wherever you are. I hope you're having a stitchy good time. Take care. Bye.